Hello, my name is Benjamin Berger. I'm a paleontologist at Utah State University. In 1923, a letter arrived from the remote Gobi Desert of Mongolia, and within this letter was a drawing of a giant fossilized skull. The letter was from a paleontologist named George Olson, who was a member of the American Central Asiatic Expedition organized by the American Museum of Natural History in New York. This expedition had discovered the iconic velociraptor, dinosaur eggs, and other amazing extinct creatures. But this letter detailed the discovery of a skull of considerably large size of a bizarre, unique mammal. The sketch and field description in the letter of this colossus fossilized skull caused the two curators back in America, Henry Fairfield Osborn and William Diller Matthew, to speculate on what this creature might be. Osborn noted similarities to a giant pig from the Miocene, the Artiodactyl Dinohyus, while Matthew suggested a close affinity to a carnivorous creature called Harpagolestes, a mesonychid known from the older Eocene. When the 83-centimeter-long skull arrived and preparations were finished on the skull in the paleontological lab, Osborn described the skull as a new genus, Andrewsarchus, named in honor of the Indiana Jones-inspiring scientist Roy Chaplain Andrews, who had led the expedition. Following Matthew's suggestion, Osborn placed this creature within the family Mesonychidae, close to the large carnivorous beast called Harpagolestes. Yet, the skull was twice the size and had few similarities with its smaller cousins. The legend of this specimen, AMNH 20135, grew as the fossil sat in the collections of the museum, where it collected dust, until 1966. When the skull attracted renewed interest by two paleontologists, Frederick Zillet and Stephen Jay Gould. They, like Osborn and Matthew, speculated in a paper whether Andrewsarchus was a giant pig or a wholly unique mesonychid. If it was a mesonychid, it was completely unique and totally different, with a more omnivorous diet, able to crush prey and bones, but also roots like a pig with its enlarged crenulated thick teeth that were not like the thin slicing teeth of other mesonychids. Together they concluded that any affinity to Dinohyus and the larger giant pigs of the Cenozoic that Osborn had noted was simply convergent evolution. They retained Andrewsarchus within its own subfamily of the Mesonychidae. That same year, another aspiring paleontology student at Columbia, Lee Van Valen, offered a unique idea. The Andrewsarchus and other mesonychids were ancestral to whales and dolphins. The fossil became the icon of the new theory that whales arose from mesonychids, sometime during the Paleocene or Eocene epochs. The idea stuck, but over time, this theory was slowly willowed away with molecular evidence and more fossil evidence from early Eocene whales, which placed whales and dolphins within the Artiodactyla order, with hippos, cows, deer, camels, antelope, and the large pigs, rather than within the Mesonychidae. But was Andrewsarchus really a mesonychid, or was Osborn's first hunch right? And it was a member of an extinct group of pigs, and a member of the Artiodactyl too. If we had ankle bones of Andrewsarchus, we could tell very quickly, because the astragalus bone in Artiodactyls forms a double pulley, which is found in primitive whales that retain feet, and all living and fossil Artiodactyls. In the nearly 100 years since its discovery, No new specimens have come to light from the Erdin-Manha Formation of Mongolia, where Andrewsarchus was first discovered. We know nothing of its lower jaw, postcranial skeleton, and we lack the diagnostic astragalus bone. Fame came to Andrewsarchus in 2001 after its depiction in the British documentary series Walking with Beasts, which featured a wolf-like Andrewsarchus. Opinions, though, began to shift by 2009 when two new paleontologists, Michelle Spaulding and Maureen O'Leary, threw Andrewsarchus in a large phylogenetic tree of mammals and found to their surprise that Andrewsarchus was closest in relationship with another strange pig-like creature no one had really looked at closely before. Echinodon. God, what an awful name. Thanks, Edward Drinker Cope. You could have come up with like a really cool and interesting name, but you came up with Echinodon? Ah. All right, Echinodon. Echinodon was a large pig-like omnivorous creature from the Eocene of the American West. It was a big pig, but it did not belong to the same family as Dinohyus, nor was it a mesonychid. It was, however, a member of the Artiodactyl order. Spaulding and O'Leary found that Andrewsarchus grouped with Echinodon and other early members of the extinct family of pig-like fossil artiodactyls called the heliohyid. When I first read of this idea, I was like, no, mesonychids are really cool. Plus, there are two features that I saw in the skull that indicated, at least to me, that Andrewsarchus was a mesonychid. First, Andrewsarchus lacks a postorbital bar, just like mesonychids. In most pig-like artiodactyls, like the giant Dinohyus, the skulls have this bone behind the orbit, separating the eye hole from the cheekbone. But in Echinodon and other heliohyid artiodactyls that we have skulls of, resemble Andrewsarchus in that they too lack a postorbital bar. Second, I noted the enlarged wide zygomatic arch found in Andrewsarchus and mesonychids, which is lacking in large pig-like creatures like Ateliodons, for which Dinohyus belongs within. However, when we look at the equally wide zygomatic arch found in Echinodon and other heliohyids, I noticed that this feature was shared with Andrewsarchus. Maybe they had a point. Was Andrewsarchus a member of the heliohyidae, a group of primitive pig-like creatures that we had not recognized before? Based on this new research, paleo artist Mick Ellison reconstructed Andrewsarchus as a giant pig. A grudging re-examination of the fossil was in order. The biggest difference between these fossils is that Echinodon has a short snout, while Andrewsarchus, the snout is really long. By simply stretching the skull of Echinodon longer, we can convert Echinodon into the giant Andrewsarchus by changing only the proportions of the skull. Now, it's not a perfect match. The occipital portion of the skull flares up in Andrewsarchus, but it does look remarkably similar in profile. So it's best to think of Andrewsarchus as being a member of the heliohyidae, possibly ancestral to the Ateliodonts and pigs and peccaries that live today. However, there's a lot more research in order, particularly in studying the internal anatomy of the skulls of these creatures using CT technology. Now, it's debated if the heliohyidae were just an early group of pig-like mammals that left no descendants and went extinct around 40 million years ago, and then were replaced by the Ateliodonts, or hell pigs, of the late Eocene, Oligocene, and Miocene, or if, as a group, they had evolved into these later pig-like mammals. My hypothesis is that the heliohyidae were ancestral to both the pigs, peccaries, and Ateliodonts, the group that Dinohyus belongs within. So Osborn's initial idea appears to be correct, at least for now. You know, before I post this, I should probably check on Wikipedia, see how they group Andrewsarchus. So let's check it out. So it looks like they group it with this Centanchodontomorpha. What the? Oh. It's just artiodactyls. Ah. The mesonychid idea is dead, guys, I think. Wikipedia's saying it's an artiodactyl. I hope you enjoyed this short weekly video. I have a link below to the original 3 papers that I discussed if you'd like to read them. Please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to get updates. I want to thank my wonderful supporters on Patreon, Brian Clever, Alejandro Marces, Artotis 1811, Justin Bovey, and Pablo Luzato Figuez, and all of my Trilobite supporters for keeping these videos coming, making them freely available on YouTube without ads, and encouraging me to make more of them. This video supplements my Vertebrate Paleontology lecture series, so if you want to catch all of those videos in order, click on the playlist in the link below, and you can follow them in sequential order, and also don't forget to subscribe.